Just through the news we tracked for you at this moment on your shining supreme station.
For the best of national, local, international news and sport, tune in to News Punch and Diamond 88.7 FM. News Punch, all about the news.
It's a minute gone past 9 a.m. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on today's edition of News Punch on Diamond 88.7 FM, Ilorin, where we bring you the trending stories across the globe. I am Babafemi Adesoye, and here are the stories making the waves across the world for today. In Nigeria, the program of events for the inauguration of President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the 16th President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on the 29th May has been released by the federal government. The event, expected to be graced by top dignitaries, foreign leaders, and heads of government, will be celebrating the 7th consecutive democratic transition of power since the start of democracy in the country. Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Chairman of Presidential Transition Council, Mr. Boss Mustafa, while unveiling the program at a World Press Conference in Abuja, said arrangements put in place will see to a smooth transition of power on May the 29th. Still in Nigeria, the leadership of the Joint Labour Movement in Osun State has rejected the staff audit proposed by the state government, demanding proper briefing on the exercise. The position of the labour leaders was equal to circulation of forms among workers by a consulting firm hired by the state government for the purpose of counting the number of workers on its payroll. The leadership of the Joint Labour Movement, comprising the Niger Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress in the state, said it was rejecting the exercise due to the hardship experienced by workers and pensioners in the past after such an audit. Taking a look at happenings on the foreign scene, an 88-year-old Australian doctor held captive in Burkina Faso for more than 7 years has been released and safely returned to his family, the Australian government has announced. In a statement, Australia Foreign Minister Penny Wong said the doctor, Kenneth Elliott, is safe and well and has been reunited with his wife, Jocelyn, and their children. Elliott and his wife were kidnapped by rebel fighters in northern Burkina Faso in January 2016 near the border with Mali and Niger, where they had operated a 120-bed medical clinic for more than 40 years. And in the world of sports, West Ham reached their first European final in 47 years after Thursday's 1-0 victory at AZ Alkmaar clinched a 3-1 aggregate success in the Europa Conference League semi-finals. Pablo Fornals scored West Ham's winner in the final moments of the 10th-second leg to set up a clash with Fiorentina in the final in Prague on the 7th of June. The Hammers last reached a major European final in 1976 when they were beaten by Anderlecht in the Cup Winners' Cup. That's all we have for you on this edition of News Punch. Up next is the Diamond Breakfast Show, where we bring you the analysis of the stories happening in the week. Please just stay tuned.
For up-to-date news reported across the globe, be rest assured you're on the right radio dial. Diamond 88.7 FM Ilorin, your shining supreme station.
From news to sports, current affairs to entertainment, beautiful music, amazing programs, we got you all covered at Diamond 88.7 FM.
The major talking point in Nigeria are always on the lips of the citizens.
What's going on in this country? Look at smaller countries taking lead and you call yourself giant of Africa. Yeah.
Nigeria don't spoil my business too much. Nigeria is too hard for us. I mean, I want to kill us. Father, not kill us for Nigeria. Oh, please, so help us beg them.
They should reduce their expenditure so that they can free enough money for social development.
I wish for a Nigeria where we elect a leader based on competency and not popularity.
On the Diamond Breakfast Show, we place the sport spotlight on the critical issues in the country.
Government that says they are broke can prioritize construction of an additional runway over education of the people.
How can a government, how can you hold Indomine? This is intolerable. It's provocative.
Now, you see, when you look at our democratic journey, we are yet to practice genuine democratic system in Nigeria.
Join us on Mondays to Friday on the DBS from 9 to 10 a.m. The Diamond Breakfast Show, amplifying the voice of the people.
From the studios of Diamond 88.7 FM in Loring, this is the Diamond Breakfast Show.
All right, you're welcome back to the Diamond Breakfast Show this very beautiful Friday morning, the 19th of May 2023. Yes, we'll be analyzing some of the major talking points in the news. To do this with me this morning is Dr. Hafiz Tosin Suleiman. He's a university lecturer, a public affairs analyst, and a social commentator. You're welcome to Diamond FM, Doctor.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes, hope you're good.
Yes, alhamdulillah, managing.
Beautiful, that's lovely. All right, yes, let's get into the story, the very first story for this morning. Insecurity has been a big problem in the country for close to 2 decades now. And from having just a group who claim to be guided by some religious principle, Boko Haram, terrorizing the northeastern part of the country, to having more like other insurgent groups and affiliations, and as well as the bandits and others. Many ask several questions to trace the foundation of this security threat. Many believe the poverty level in the north contributed to this, but we have more groups, not just in the north, but virtually in all parts of the country. The issue was the most critical part of the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan administration, and many voted him out just because of this issue. Things get more serious during the administration, despite having a president who once was a general in the army. It is a serious issue. The Sultan of Sokoto, Alhaji Saad Abubakar, yesterday raised concerns over the resurgence of killings and other forms of banditry in the country after the general elections, saying they were not religious. Now, the question is, the Sultan questioned why insecurity and killings have started again while they were non-existent during the general elections. Did you notice that as well during the election and after?
Yes, good morning once again, Nigerians. I think it was the Sultan observed rightly.
Okay.
I think it was simply the case. So at a point, I and probably some people who I have discussed with were wondering, is it that we still have all these killings, but they were not reported? Because of course we are not there. We only hear what was reported. But it is safe to generally conclude that it was like during the general election, all the normal security challenges, the killings, the purported attacks were down to the minimal level. So it's just right after the election that we are not hearing all of those again. So I think I will also align my thought, my position with the Sultan that during the last general election, in fact, weeks preceding to the election, we hardly hear of all these killings, not until recently.
Okay. Let's now say, should we attribute it to the fact that the willpower of the government is more concentrated on conducting of elections rather than the security, of lives and properties of Nigerians?
Well, looking at the facts on the table, in fact, it all indicators or pointers are pointing towards that belief that it was as if right then, during on a week's preparation leading to general election, more attention were focused on making sure that we have that
absolute security.
Yes, I want to call it that transition process. They make sure that it was not truncated in any way. They make sure that every angles, everybody, so to say, behave the way they ought to have behaved. And I also think that the people who are perpetrating all this act are also aware of how high the security alert was during the, and they also observed that it was like immediately after the election, the old system architecture relents, and they now seize rooms to also perpetrate their evil. One singular case I will quickly want to mention is that from indications also, we have observed that when the security operatives, when they really want to, when there is that willpower to do something about a crime, especially, or should I say most usually, when it contains an high figure or somebody in the
high places.
Thank you. We see more results than where it concerns the citizenry. So we want to believe at times that it was as if right then the whole attention, everything was put in place to make sure that there was no smelling, not even that those threats will occur during those particular period in time.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, during the campaigns and most especially the Naira redesign crisis, during the cash crunch period, nothing of such happened as well. And are we getting more glaring facts that top people are feasting on the time to unleash their terror on the people of the country?
Well, talking about the other phase of our life that we have obviously passed through, thank God that we have cash, in circulation now.
But December is closed.
Well, that is another discussion.
Okay.
People believed before now and then, and in the matter of days, a week or so, we will have another person in power. And the whole body language, the whole agenda, everything may, you understand, change. It all depends or relies in the preview of whoever is in the presidency. So
and we shouldn't also forget that there have been so many promises that would never come to pass.
Well, of course, and I want to believe that there are so many other ones that may come to pass. However, what I was trying to say initially is that the issue of cash issue, I wouldn't say because as of that time they were calculating. The fact remains that the way the whole currency situation, the way it plays out shows that these criminal, these are people perpetrating this evil. They are very, very versatile and aware of what is happening in Nigeria. At that point, there is no how you kidnap somebody that you are going to have an opportunity of collecting ransom from the person. In my own opinion, I think it was clearing that the only way you can receive ransom then was probably through wire transfer, and that they would never want to do because it is very, very traceable compared to when you have enough cash around, you understand, to pay a ransom. So at that particular time, we had issues of people from northeastern part of Nigeria, criminals element coming to the street and start sharing cash because they are aware that in the matter of days or times as of then that the cash will lost its value. It will cease to be legal tender. So you understand? But right now, we have enough cash around. They have this belief that if anybody is kidnapped or something, you have enough cash to mobilize to pay for ransom. You understand? I think this is one of the danger of too many unnecessary cash in circulation.
Okay.
Honestly, is the fact, because as of when we have little or nothing in circulation, we hardly hear of this crime. It's just like when there is this Yoruba proverb, A person who is requesting for debt and is not accepting to come back would rather take the life of the debtor. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So I think that may have been the reasons why what happened then happened.
All right, thank you very much. Well, there have been reports that some of these bandits and terror groups are not citizens of this country. And then if we check it closely, is it not possible that the reason for not having news about insurgency at all before or during the elections is because of the cash crunch? That's okay. There was no way for them probably to get ransom and every other thing. That's another angle.
Yes.
Okay.
And which
now,
I just explained. Now it's possible.
How can we now fight this identification crisis first? Because it is also vital in the fight against insurgency.
We have a very peculiar situation.
Okay.
It's just like I will usher in another Yoruba adage. You understand?
Okay.
That,
And then sorry, before you continue. Talking about this identification crisis, do not let us forget that most borders that we have in this country are porous. That people just walk in and walk out.
That is where I'm going.
Okay, very good.
You see, Olowo kan,
okay,
Olusi mefa.
Okay.
They will also say that person is also a poor person.
Okay, like a wealthy man in the midst of
like 10
numerous
poor
people.
So you are technically poor.
Okay.
Because by the time you share your weight all around, or even when you are not sharing, these people will definitely come and take from your weight. That is exactly what is happening now. Just like rightly mentioned, we have situation whereby the neighboring countries, especially those people residing in our border area, though not Nigeria, but the access they have to resources, needed resources, is kind of poor, so to say. So they have no other option than to enter her own territory. And you understand, even it is so the way our border is the way it's volatile, they can easily move in, out, and return back to their place of residence without us even noticing. So this may also be another reason why we have such a high security situation in this country.
Okay. In the words of the former United States President Donald Trump, when he said he was going to build a wall, against Mexico, is it not possible we build walls around our borders? I'm just thinking.
We're looking at how the landmark we have put together as in Nigeria. The fact is, it's possible.
Okay.
But the issue is not the issue of the wall.
Okay.
If we end up erecting these walls,
okay,
before we know it, the people who want to perpetrate this can still find a way. You understand? What we need is a very good what we call surveillance that we can use to prevent people from coming in. That is one. The other thing is that how we even identify people who are Nigerians. I must give kudos to the immigration officers. I have traveled to the north and to some other part of Nigeria, and to my surprise, they have a way of knowing. They just look at the color. They will look at us, and before you know it, they will point 2-3 people, which ordinarily myself will have assumed they are Nigerians. Probably they are from another tribe, so to say. But before you know it, you will find out that these people were not actually Nigerians. That is one. Two is that, do we even have the database of Nigerians? We know we have been discussing before the general election, and unfortunately, very soon we still keep discussing. We are supposed to have a population census that was postponed. So the issue of identifying who are Nigerian, you understand, is still we have people who are Nigerians and do not have any digital footprint. Talk of anything you can use to identify, they don't have. No driver license, no NIN, you understand?
Yes.
No birth certificate, no BVN. They reside primarily in the rural area, and they have no access to any government parastatal agency that can even find a way to, you understand, document them.
Okay.
So we need to work towards this direction.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, talking about you asking that question, that do we even have a database? Well, I would just answer you to say we may not have a well-structured database, but we have a database on different platforms. some on the national identification number, that's NIN, some on the voter's card, some on the driver's license, some on the bank verification number, just scattered all over the place.
As you mentioned, this numerous database, it even shows we don't have any.
All right, okay.
The reason why is one, it's not comprehensive. And two, why are we wasting data? Why we can just have one?
Okay, thank you very much. Let's quickly go for this commercial break, and then when we come back, we continue with the show.
Colors, they add meaning to our lives. From birth and naming of a child.
May your life be rich and potent as the red palm oil. Amen.
Colors tell of the feelings in our hearts.
Aww.
Through rainbow-like roses or even bubbly emojis. Colors speak of our distinctive ancestry through the shade of our skin. Colors are in the bright garbs we wear to impress, or the deluxe coat we give our buildings.
Wow, this is so beautiful.
And with our proudly Nigerian deluxe paints now available in any color, express your world however you want it. Visit a Deluxe Color Center to get any color instantly.
Deluxe, let's color.
Diamond FM, your one-stop dial.
The major talking points in Nigeria are always on the lips of the citizens.
All right, you're welcome back. It is still the Diamond Breakfast Show on Diamond 88.7 FM Ilorin, and we are here talking about the concerns raised by the Sultan of Sokoto yesterday concerning insecurity and insurgency that over the resurgence of killings and other forms of banditry in the country after the general elections. And then, to go back to what the Sultan said, so many times when there is a clash between two should I say two groups, let me put it that way, belonging to different social constructs. A particular set of people could be headsmen, maybe headers. They are into cattle rearing. Another set of people are into crop farming. The cattle need the crop to feed on the crops to survive. And then before you know what is happening, there's a clash between the two groups. And just for the reason that, for the fact that so many times, like over 90% of the times when these clashes happen, the two groups do not obviously belong to the same religion. Could this be the reason why a lot of people attribute the clashes to, to call them religious crisis?
Thank you very much. I don't believe so.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
Though,
so you don't see the clashes as more of commercial sometimes than being religious.
Like I just want to put it in the right shapes.
Okay,
so that I will not be misinterpreted. My position will not be misinterpreted.
All right.
Let me start by saying that that the basis of all these crises we are having in Nigeria is basically as a result of inequality.
Okay.
Uneven distribution of resources.
Okay.
That is just the basis of all this issue. Go to the east, to the west, to the north. Now, before now, there are some people who we know what they do. In policy, we have identified their needs, but in reality, we are not able to meet their needs. We know some people are migrant fishermen. That is their way of life. For us to make them to part of the community, we should meet them at the point of their needs. They are not even technically asking for too much. Just meet their needs. Give them education, give them resources that is in line with their lifestyle. Then technically you don't disrupt them. We have people who are
nomadic.
Who are nomadic
farmers, yeah.
Though some people, yes, the herdsmen. We know what they do primarily. Now let us identify their needs, which we have identified in policy. If you look at our policy, we have some fine policies. We have even an education for them. We have a way of taking care of their needs. Let us really implement that. You go you see schools of nomads and you realize that they don't meet even the requirement to be school of nomadics. Then we have people who are farmers. They are not asking for too much, for God's sake. They just need a place to farm. A place to farm,
free of interruption and disruption.
Thank you. Okay. We know their needs. Give them education, give them the resources that they need. Now, sorry, when we identify these things, I'm not talking about people who are in the city. We also have our specific needs that need to be met.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm talking about this group for now. Why don't you just take care of them? Now, take care of the farmers so that they will have no intruder in their farms. Take care of the nomadics, that they will have nobody encroaching on their cattle, and you prevent them also from intruding the farms. This can be solved by realizing one thing. Because we know that this has to do with culture and practice. However, there are some things that we may all have to make some sacrifice. How do I mean? The fact is, open grazing right now is nearly not practicable. You can't practice that.
So how do we get this particular group of people to a certain dialogue to let them understand?
We also have a policy.
Okay.
However, because of our sensitivity, because of our what is it called?
Sentiment.
No, I won't even say sentiment.
Okay.
We are looking above our shoulder too much. So we believe by giving these people land to farm, they will later lay claim to the land, which is also easy. There are lands law. Make it in such a way that no matter how many years they spend in this specially designed place, they cannot claim ownership of the place. But we also have to remember that even some of these cattle were not actually owned by this particular set of people. However, the bottom line is that we cannot practice open grazing again. It is not practicable. If you want to rear cows, you should treat cow rearing as a business. Then treat farming as a business.
But how do we convince the people that this particular practice is an age-long tradition and culture for them? It's very easy to say, but then I'm just trying to look for an instance. Okay, as a Yoruba man that I am, I don't know if the government should come up and say I should not prostrate to greet my elders any longer. Will it be that easy?
That is not the case.
Okay,
that is not the case.
What is the case?
The primary case here is that they need to rear cattle to meet their enemies.
Okay.
The reason why they move is that at a particular season, where the cattle are will no longer be viable for feeding. If you remember when we are in secondary school, there is this more agric farming, crop rotation, where you understand.
Yes, bush following and all that.
You understand.
Yes.
You partition your land into A, B, C, D.
Yes.
Then you make sure that you have enough grace here. You understand to feed. By the time you exhaust that, you move to B.
Yes.
That is practically what they are doing, but it is not structured. Because at a particular time they are in the south, they move to the north. Once the weather changes and they cannot see the required,
they go
back to the south or middle belt, and they keep moving. All they have to do is that marks enough land for them, give them the enough resources, and you can reach them by reaching people who are more familiar with this practice. I also want to, like I said earlier, there are people who are not even humans that are employing their services.
Of course, enough.
You understand? Even in our city,
a lot of
most of the cows you are seeing in our city is not owned by them. It's owned by us.
Yes.
And we are the one putting them in charge. But once there is a law, there is an enforced law that we should treat cattle rearing as a business and give enough space for it. Even you and I can go into cattle rearing. It is easy. We have that in the past. There was a time I was watching a documentary and I was meant to be aware of one cattle farm in Lagos State. Though it is no longer put into use. But what I'm trying to say is that we need to meet people's needs, you understand?
Yes.
At their point of needs. But I want to believe that it is not a case of religion. It is a case of uneven distribution of resources. And people have to look for a way to settle that. Please, if I can quickly add this. Another thing we should know is that I keep saying this, and unfortunately, before the general election, we left that debate. But right now, we have to come back to the debate.
Okay.
There is no how we can positively progress in this country if we did not look into the way our power is being shared. The power is over concentrated in the central. Look at all this farming that we are discussing. If the enough power to be implemented is brought down back to community level. Let every community, they know their territory. If you are traveling now, they will see a signpost telling you, welcome to Ajegule. By the time you remove some kilometers, goodbye from Ajegule. Let those people in, I'm just, an example. People in that Ajegule, let them take ownership of their governance. Then they should give little power to the state, little power to the federal. We cannot over-concentrate.
Other than people sitting in Abuja and saying they are administration.
If people in Ajegule felt that, we don't want this, then they have their police to enforce that. They have their law to do that. There was a time I was looking and the federal government was complaining about overcrowded prison yards and how they are spending 1 million naira on a prisoner. I was just wondering, it's because you are taking what does not even belong to you in the first case. A local crime that is committed in a community, you are putting them in federal prison. No, we should have community prison, state prison, federal prison. If your offense is community offense, you'll be charged and tried in the community. If it's a state offense, you'll be charged in the state. And if it's a federal offense, federal agency will come into place. People who are as big as us and they are practicing this kind of government we are practicing with democracy, this is what they are doing.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, on a lighter note, getting to hear that 14 million naira is being spent on a prisoner in one single year is really hilarious. But then we'll come back to that.
I was even thinking it's just 1 million per year.
It's 14 million naira in a year.
How much is a teacher collecting per year?
No, you and I, how much do we spend on each other? Okay, let's quickly go for this commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue with the Diamond Breakfast Show.
kò sí mọ́ àwọn ká ti sá lọ àrùnmọ́lẹ́gùn ẹ̀yìn dídùn làkúrẹ́ gbé wọ́n ti lọ wá bí wọ́n sí kára o lè pé bàmù rẹ̀ àtòrà dáadáa.
kòkòkò lára ọ̀tá le. gbéra ńlẹ̀ kò dìde. kára o lè pè ń bà. àtòrà wọ̀ àtòrà pẹ̀sẹ̀ àtòrà dáadáa. kegun tó kegun náà. kára o yá gágá. ara ń ronú tẹ́lẹ̀ kò ronú mọ́. tẹ̀bá ti fi kára o lè pè ń bà rà. lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ òṣùbù yẹ̀kẹ́ fa párọ̀ tàbí fi ẹsẹ̀ dá. fi kára o lè pè ń bà bọ̀. káì ara rẹ̀ ó lè padà yakinlala. action action. ó jẹ́ àwọ̀ká àròmọ̀lẹ́gun làkúègbé ara ríro tàbí ẹ̀yìn dídùn. kára o lè pè ń bà lọ́kọ̀ gbogbo wọn. agbára pọ̀ kára o lè pè ń bà. tuyi pharmaceutical industries limited. àwọn tó lórúkọ tó ṣe é gbẹ́kẹ̀lé níbi ká po oògùn òyìnbó ló ṣe é. kára ó lè pè ń bà. ẹ̀rọ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ pín ìrèpàtú òpèrè ta pàtà pọ́npọ́n. kára ó lè pè ń bà. ó kì í síbẹ̀.
kára ó lè pè ń bà múre àtúrà dáadáa.
The federal government, through the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, announces the availability of COVID-19 and childhood vaccines nationwide. With the disturbing increase in reported cases of COVID-19 infections across Nigeria, protect yourself and loved ones from the harmful virus by getting vaccinated. Visit the nearest public or private health facility and mass vaccination sites today to receive the first, second, or booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines. COVID-19 vaccines are given to persons 18 years and above, including pregnant women and breastfeeding mothers, while childhood vaccines are given to children from birth to 5 years for protection against polio, hepatitis, yellow fever, measles, meningitis, and other vaccine-preventable diseases. All vaccines are free, safe, and effective. For inquiries, visit www.nphcda.gov.ng or call 0700 220 1122.
This message is brought to you by the National Primary Health Development Agency in collaboration with the Nigeria Red Cross Society with support from the Africa CDC SLL program.
Diamond FM, your one-stop dial.
All right, you're welcome back. It is still the Diamond Breakfast Show on Diamond 88.7 FM in Lorraine, and here we are, talking about the happenings that we have in the news this week. Well, let's move to another story right now, Doctor. The Presidential Election Petitions Tribunal yesterday resumed hearing in the suit by the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and its candidate Atiku Abubakar. Counsel for Atiku and PDP, Chris Uche, said the motion dated 5th May and filed on 7th May, praying for an order of the court to allow the televising of the proceedings is important given the monumental national significance. Counsel for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Abubakar Mahmood, however, disagreed. He said bringing cameras into the courtroom will defeat the solemn atmosphere that the courtroom is known for. He insisted that they want to do their work in a solemn atmosphere without having cameras on their faces. He asked the court to reject the application for live coverage as it was unnecessary and uncalled for. Counsel for APC's presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, that is Wole Olanipekun, in his argument, found it surprising that the application will be brought by the petitioner in the first place, stating that they are in court for serious business. He added that the court is not a stadium, neither is it a theater or circus. Now, will this be the very first time this is happening, that a court proceeding will have to be televised?
Thank you very much. Well, I'm not sure in Nigeria, but in other clients we have issues whereby we see our court proceeding being televised.
Okay.
But it's not the issue of whether it is the first or the second, or if it's possible. The issue is whether it should even be allowed
in the first place.
Okay.
So
I am aware the court is has the final say to decide, and I think the court has adjourned to determine and to make their position known. However, I would rather let's look at the pros and the cons of
televising court proceedings.
In a simple truth, there should be nothing wrong by letting everybody
see what is
going on. In the simple truth, you just ask, is it not just for us to see what is actually going on? However, we should also realize that Nigeria right now, we have seen a lot of things. There are some things that will happen in that court that to somebody who is not law inclined, or even somebody who knows law, who has a way of misinterpreting it. You understand? Because we are all human, there is no final judgment. There is nothing we can do that can be acceptable
by everyone.
Remember, even the two popular religions in this part of the country, when we talk about Islam and Christianity, the people who actually introduced this religion to us, they were even criticized while they were alive, and they are still being criticized even till now. In fact, it will not even surprise us that as much as some people believe there is God and believe he cannot make any mistake, we still have people who doesn't believe that there is God. So that is to tell you that there is nothing that can come out of that courtroom that will be generally acceptable by all. Now, if we know this fact and we allow this to play, what is it that can happen? It can lead to public outcry. You understand? If there is anything that happens, you understand, and in real time, it may lead to an unforeseen situation outside the courtroom. Whether they are in the courtroom for serious business or not, I don't subscribe, you understand, to that argument, to that position. But what I'm subscribing to, what I'm seeing as can be the negative consequences of live television of the court proceeding is the fact that it's the whole process. What will be happening there? There will be cases that it will be left in the court of public opinion, and when a case is there, everybody can interpret it the way they like. There is a fact that sometimes technicality win cases in the court.
Of course.
You understand? However, to people looking at it, they will see beyond the technicality. You understand? Why is it so? Let me give you an instance. A person is tried for, you understand, for murder, probably let's say it is other countries, and the murder weapon is found in the person's possession. In other countries, US for instance, if that murder weapon the search is obtained illegally, though there may be evidence that shows that the person actually committed the crime, but because of the illegality
behind it,
that is the technical part. The person may go scot-free without being charged, without being found guilty. You understand? It's not as he did not commit it, but because of the technicality, it can be even changed in command or anything. This we mean people, all of us may not have the stomach to swallow that thing, and it may lead to an outcry that will be unforeseen.
All right, thank you very much. Well, let's at this point in time, let's quickly get the reactions of people listening to us, because I know a lot of people have one thing or the other to say. So if you want to be a part of this conversation, you can quickly send us a message on WhatsApp or SMS 0913 655 6864. Once again, the number is 0913 655 6864. And if you want to call in, yes, you can call 080 00 887 887. 080 887 887 or 0913 655 6952. And please, we appeal to you, if you're driving and you're trying to call in, kindly find somewhere safe very well to pull over before you make your call. 0913 655 6952. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from?
Ibrahim from Garkombi.
Okay, Ibrahim from Garkombi. Thank you for joining. Let's have you.
I correct the analyst in the studio.
Okay, thank you very much.
You see, according to what he said, decentralization of power in this country. Because if you look at insecurity scenario of this country, it is because we don't decentralize political power that worsening the situation of it. Because federal government we stay in Abuja, and Nigeria is the fourth largest country in the whole world, and we will be commanding the police force, the paramilitary force. It is not done like that. We have to decentralize our political power because insecurity scenario starts in the rural area. For supporting the decentralization of power, it will they will scale it to a BRS minimum. That's my contribution.
All right, thank you very much, Ibrahim from Garkombi. Thank you so much for your contribution. Yes, you can also join the conversation on Twitter Diamond 887 FM, CC at Don Femi King. Let's have this discussion together this morning. Okay, this says, good morning. My name is Kamal from Ojaya. On what the Sultan said, what I observe is 80% of the terrorist attack in this country is politically motivated. And it shows none of the politicians in this country have we, the masses, at heart. Good morning. All right, thank you very much, Kamal from Ojaya. Your message is highly appreciated. 080-00-887-887 is the number to call, or you simply send us a message. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Taiwo. I'm calling from...